What's up, guys? Mike Lewis here, and welcome to the Mike Lewis podcast. If you guys want to keep up with me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lewis Official, and you can follow me on Twitter at MikeLew52. It's where most of my updates come. If you're enjoying my content, give me a like and a subscribe. And without further ado, let's just dive right into this episode. Miss Tara, thank you for coming on today. How are we doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was quite the bit of reaction yesterday when I said you were going to be joining me, believe it or not.
Really?
I said it. I tagged you on Twitter. Everybody was excited to see.
Yeah, I saw a couple when I first saw that you had done that, I was like, "Oh God, no one's gonna have any questions, and it's gonna be really embarrassing." But then I saw a couple, but I didn't see like a ton. So I mean, like the last time I looked. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, John was one of the people commenting, so there was.
Yeah.
But you're rather new to social media now, right? Like you were.
Yes. So for a lot of years, I was just kind of not really doing that and like keeping my like Instagram private, just like my kids and stuff like that. But then when All Stars came around, I decided I wanted to be like back in the fold. So I've gotten a Twitter account, and I mean, I had a Twitter account, but and I got a public Instagram, and not to brag, but I have like 200 followers on Twitter. So I'm kind of a big
Wow,
deal.
200?
Yeah. Well, not quite 200, like almost 200.
Oh, okay.
Like,
well, that counts.
I like maybe after this I'll have 200. Maybe I'll get 3 more.
Yeah,
Last time I looked, I had like
what's the Twitter?
197.
What's the Twitter?
Terrifying World. TARAFYING World.
That's a nice play on words there. So I think people should
Thanks.
really catchy. People might go and follow that once this is out. How
I
has
may
it been?
even get over 200.
Yeah, how has it been jumping back into the social media fold? Because that wasn't a thing back when your shows were on.
No, it wasn't. It's been fun. It's been really surprising that like there's still people out there who like wanted to ask me questions and like want to have me on a podcast. It's cool. I've been
Yeah.
having a good time.
Are you glad that you missed that social media wave, or do you feel like had it been around when you were on the shows, maybe you would have tried to leverage it into something?
I never wanted to leverage it into anything. The way I got cast was they literally showed up at the door of my sorority and were like, "Anyone want to be on Road Rules?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll be on Road Rules." And then it wasn't that easy. Like a bunch of girls in my sorority talked to them, and then they kept calling me back. And it was a very short process though, because they were kind of at the end by the time they took that desperate measure. And they were doing like concurrent casting at the time, so they were also casting for I think Real World Seattle maybe. And they were like, if Road Rules doesn't work out, do you want to be on Real World? And I was like, no, I can't. I don't want to be on Real World. I want to go do stuff. If I just sit around and like talk to people all the time, like it wouldn't be good.
Wow.
I would definitely put my foot in my mouth and get in trouble. Like I need to do stuff.
So that's how clear cut and dry it was. They just kind of came to your sorority. Like it wasn't, you didn't show up to any casting calls or anything like that?
No, I had never even seen the show. My sister really loved the show and she had told me about it. So when they knocked on the door, I was like, "Oh, I know that. Yeah, I'll do that. Whatever." And so I just chatted with them for a few minutes, and then they just kept calling me back, and it happened.
Well, I mean, that was the 5th one, I think, right? Your season was the 5th one. So there's a milestone number for you, getting on that one. So you had no TV aspirations?
No, I didn't want to be on camera. I ended up working in reality TV for a bunch of years afterwards, and I was into that. But no, I was always, I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, but it definitely wasn't like acting or anything like that.
What did you do in reality TV after?
So I worked freelance. So I was like, I had a bunch of different jobs. I was like a segment producer, a story producer, and then of course I started like as a researcher and like a peon. And then I did that for a bunch of years until it was time to produce another kind of thing, which was babies.
So yeah, I actually hear like once you step into the producer role, you're like not allowed to come back into, cast member role. Is that why you stopped doing the shows after your last challenge, or?
No. So, because I was already doing that when they cast me.
Oh, you were.
Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But when I was on Road Rules and in the first four challenges, it wasn't like a vote off thing. It was you have a team and you all work together and you compete or not compete or do your thing, but like everyone's on the same team. Or not everyone, but you know what I mean. And when I got to Cabo for the challenge, it was like 32 people voting each other off, politics and backstabbing, and I was like, whoa, this sucks. Like I do not want to do this. This is torture. And so they would call me after that, but I was always like, I don't want to do that. But it was like it was expectations, you know?
Mm.
So I thought we were all gonna like sing kumbaya and like sit around the fire and like compete during the day, but then like leave it behind the rest of the time, you know? But it was not like that.
So what, the game concept at that point in time just didn't pique your interest?
Well, the politics stuff, it's hard. It's hard living like
It is, yeah.
with all these people who are like out to get you, kind of, right? And it's like if you go in knowing that's what you're going into, like now I know that's what it is and I could prepare myself, but at the time I thought that we were all like I really thought we were all gonna like braid each other's hair and like hang out, play guitar together or whatever.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean that's usually, I think, what made the concept of the challenge and real world and road rules so special in the first place is that kind of camaraderie of just hanging out. Like I think even fans, when they're watching all the new installments that have been brought back on the Paramount Plus app, I think like the thing that interests the fans the most is the personalities, and honestly, fans just want to see people talk. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah, like
I don't even necessarily think the fans care to see people jump off of moving trucks as much as they want to see them like legit talk about life. And
oh,
that's
I
just,
want to, but I want to go jump off the trucks. Like that's what I
oh,
want to
well,
do.
I mean,
That's what
to each
appeals to
their
me.
own, but
Um, yeah, and like in my day it was road rules was that wasn't a vote off thing and it wasn't dramatic, and real world later became very dramatic and they were casting in a different way, but in the olden days of of my time it was just like regular kids like having this experience, you know.
yeah. How rigorous was like the process itself when it came to getting you on the show? Like, I'm sure they had to have asked you like a series of questions and stuff like that. I mean, what maybe was the process itself when it came to getting
Okay,
on the show?
so like I said, my casting happened in a really weird way, and it was in a very short time frame because they were already at like semifinals, and they needed their blonde girl or whatever they were looking for, and they didn't have like the right person that they felt like to fill that slot. So I went through a lot of interviewing, and because I was at UCLA and Buena Marie is 20 minutes away, I was there like a couple times a week for a few weeks. I don't remember how long it was. And they, I was interviewing with everybody. They were asking me like a million questions about like everything. And I was like kind of taking it all with a grain of salt, like this is never going to happen, but whatever, it's fun. And so it wasn't like stressful because again, I hadn't seen the show. I hadn't like put in a tape. It was just like going and talking to people who work for MTV, and that was cool. And like they all wanted to talk about me. So like obviously that's great. And yeah, I mean, like definitely we got into stuff, and like you have to cry in your casting because they will like dig until they get you into like something painful or whatever. And I definitely definitely did go there, and they like need to make sure that you can. But for the most part, it was like fun.
Wow, so they got you to cry then, and
Oh yeah.
well, do you
I
remember
mean, I
what it
don't
was that
remember
made you
why.
cry?
I don't remember what it was.
Ah,
But I do remember that it's like a thing. Like you have to, or, I don't know. Someone had said that. Like later, someone told me like, oh, everybody cries because they will like they want to know like who
wow.
you are and where you are.
That's fascinating to me. Like that's I just think right now, like, say if like you have like the most like cold-hearted person that just nothing phases them and they just can't get them to crack. Like, I wonder like what would go down.
Um, well, nowadays they cast differently, so maybe it wouldn't be an issue.
I mean, yeah, the eras are definitely different.
I guarantee you, CT didn't cry in his casting interviews.
That's well, I mean, that's
I
up for
mean,
debate.
I don't know. I've never met CT, but like especially who he was when he was casting originally, like for Paris when he was like 18 or 19, he was just this kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was that like the thing, like the unspoken thing? Every one of these people that's gotten on the show has cried in
I
order to
don't,
get on the show.
now I don't know. I don't know if maybe I was like reading it wrong. But I feel like someone had said that along the way because they really like dig into all your stuff. You're spending hours and hours with these people and they're asking like every kind of nuance and every little thing in your
Yeah.
life and like what's been painful. And I mean, I can't think of at the time what was like so painful. Um, I'd had like some friends who had like died cliff diving right
Mm.
around that time. So like maybe there was some of that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they are trained like psychologists, so they know they definitely know what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Although there wasn't like all this like psych testing and medical testing and all that stuff back then. They were just like, you want to do this? Like, I mean, there was a psychologist on staff, I think, but who was talking to us, but it wasn't like now, like they have to be really careful.
Hmm. So you said you didn't have any aspirations, obviously, for being on TV. What was it like maybe watching yourself back, after taking part in it the first time?
Okay, so at the time, it was fun and whatever, but like going back later and watching yourself at 19 trying to flirt with a cute boy sucks. Like it is so painful. And like now my 14-year-old has like looked up some old episodes on YouTube and it's hard. It is rough when she is like mocking me for like trying to be cool when like it's just not cool, you know?
Well, I mean, I feel like watching yourself back just in general after doing anything and living it already, and then seeing like, watching it after is just like a natural human instinct, like of not really liking watching yourself back. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, I don't think I thought that much about it at the time. Like I was just excited about the whole thing at the time, like when it first aired. Um and I remember I had like a premiere party at school and like a bunch of cast members who were in town came to it and like, a bunch of my friends from like the sorority and like people around UCLA came. Um and it was just like it was fun. It wasn't hard to watch at the time because I was like in a lot of ways still in it, you know?
Yeah.
But then I found that when I went on the challenge and I would come to work and I think it aired on like Mondays. I would come to work on Tuesday and like my boss and my boss's boss had watched the episodes of again me trying to flirt. And that was weird. That was much harder.
Well, yeah, definitely. I can imagine that. How did you feel maybe people like received you after, like people you knew in your personal life? Like did you feel like the way maybe they were with you before you went on TV changed after you became quote unquote a reality star, or
Oh, for sure. So like in my sorority, like I never like felt like it wasn't real I didn't really like fit in that well for the most part. Like I had my amazing friends and like lifelong friends and all that, but for the most part like the overall structure it wasn't really I wasn't really like the right person for it. But after I was on Road Rules, then I was like cool in the sorority, you know.
ah
And I got like the good jobs and I got, whereas before I was like shunted to the side, now I was like suddenly put forward. So it was definite. Like I remember that was a definite change.
did you realize that at the time though?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. because I knew at the time that I'd been like, you know, in the other room, and now I was like up front at like Rush.
Well, it's good that, at least you were like aware of that. I feel like someone like myself, if I was like in a frat and I'm in the same situation, and if I felt myself immediately getting moved to the top of like the food chain, I'd be like, oh wow, these people love me.
You know, there was like maybe one girl who like I got really close with at that time, who I like kind of later looking back realized that that's what that was about. But for the most part, I feel like I had a pretty good sense of like who were my people and who weren't my people.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel about how your season's kind of aged? I feel like if you ask an old school fan, they would refer to your season as, one of their favorites. But with maybe the lack of presence or mainstay on the challenge from your cast, because I feel like with seasons like Campus Crawl, even the Quest a little bit, and Road Rules Extreme, seasons like that, we've seen a lot of those people go on to become mainstays or have their footprint kind of carved in the challenge, whereas you guys kind of just seem to, by choice or maybe not by choice, just go on your own separate ways. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like your season's underrated?
Um, no, I never really thought of it that way. The Campus Crawl and you know, Extreme and all those other ones, they came much later. So there was like kind of they were just more contemporary.
Hmm.
And like the farther you go back, the fewer mainstays there are, right? Like, I mean, there's Mark, but Mark is Mark.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and he's unique in that way. But like who else back from my era has really been on the shows a lot? Cyrus, he was on a bunch. Beth, of course. Um, I don't know. I feel like for the most part, the newer old people, if you will, um, they were just more current. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I know why I stopped doing the challenges, but I don't know about my cast members. I think like Dan did several,
And
and
then they
then
just
maybe
stopped calling him.
is
That's
that what
I
happened?
that's I spoke to him last year. That's what he said.
Oh, they
I don't
stopped
know.
calling me after I stopped saying yes like a few times. I was like, no, I do not want to do that, and they were like, okay, and then they just stopped calling, which makes sense. But like I don't know about Anne or Ronnie, like why they stopped. Um, I think Noah was on one. I think John is the only one from my cast that wasn't ever on a challenge, and he wanted to be, but I don't know why or how that process works.
So did you keep up with your cast over the years, or you guys just went your separate ways?
Um, like anything else, like at first we were all still really tight, and like Dan and I were like we tried to stay together for like a couple of months, and he came out and visited me a couple of times, and you know, we were in love. Well, I don't know if we were in love, but you know, it was like all gung ho. But then, you know, we broke up, and like how we broke up was like, we should break up. Yeah, this is kind of dumb. Okay, cool. Talk to you tomorrow? Sure. Like it was, you know, it had run its course. Um, and then we stopped talking as much. And same with like with all of them, really. We just over time we just drifted. But I'm still like Facebook friends with everyone, except for John, who's not on social media. And his name is John Holmes, which is also the name of a very famous porn star. So it is very hard to track John Holmes down.
Yeah.
I don't recommend doing it in front of the children. Um, and yeah, like I've talked to Ronnie this year, I've talked to Dan this year. That's really it. And then Facebook with the others.
Wow. I feel like they might be hard pressed to find John Holmes if they ever try to give him a call for an All-Star season. They might get the wrong guy in the line.
Oh yeah, it'd be certainly an interesting castmate. But the porn star is dead, so I think we're okay.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But still,
Yeah.
like, still Googling him is it's an interesting search.
I got to do this to you. How did the you and Dan thing start when you guys were on the show?
Um, you know, at first, like I don't know, just like anything else, like I thought he was cute. this is the flirting I was talking about. So I was like, "Nee." And then, you know, we would chat and we would like stay up all night talking. And they called us the Whisper Twins because we did while everyone was sleeping all night. And, you know, of course, it was all exciting because it was like brand new and we were doing this adventure and like all the adrenaline and all the like hormones of like, you know, we could just stay up all night and talk and then like go do missions and go do stuff. We just kind of wanted to like hang out with each other all the time. And then over time it like became more, but I mean, I think we were both always like into each other from jump. Just took us a while to like kiss.
You guys were like keeping it a secret from the rest of the people, right? I think it was.
No, there was no keeping it a secret that we were like into each other and that we were like together or whatever. But there was one secret we kept from everyone until the last episode.
Yeah. So another question about one of your other castmates that fan sent in. They wanted to know what was your dynamic like with Ronnie.
Ronnie is Ronnie's awesome. It's funny, she's only a year younger than me. Like almost exactly, I think. Maybe 2. Like our birthdays are like a week apart, but she was 8. No, she had just turned 18. I had just turned 19. But she was kidnapped from her prom. So she felt like the baby because she was still in high school and I was like just finished my sophomore year of college. So I always like, we thought of her as so much younger than us because like, I guess at that age that you just do. But she was like in charge from day one. Like she held the purse, she kept the money, she kept us in control. And like, one of the things they would do is, you know, make sure sometimes you're like rich and sometimes you're poor and hungry. But she always like managed our money so well. And like, she would like hide some so that like when they thought we were broke, like we just had a little bit more. So we would like ask Ronnie, like, we have so much money. Can we go drinking tonight? And she'd be like, no. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah. I always thought it was like kind of crazy back then when they would cast people. I would assume she wasn't, you know, she was underage when it came to the whole drinking thing on the show, right?
I mean, we all were, yeah, except for Anne.
Oh,
we had fake IDs.
Oh wow! So did the show supply them?
No.
Oh, so it was just
had a fake ID
Oh,
because I was
okay.
a sophomore in college, and there was like a girl in my sorority who looked a lot like me because like blonde lady, like we all look the same. And so I used it, and then I think sometimes people just like, because we were with like a whole production, things were looser, and we did half of it in Canada, so you know the drinking age was 18. So it wasn't really ever an issue. I don't think.
Yeah. How lenient or how communicating was it with like production when it came to like shooting?
What do you mean?
Because like I know the thing on the show is like you're not supposed to like look at the camera or like stuff like that. I know like there was one Road Rules season, I think it was Road Rules Europe, where I think they like broke the fourth wall, and like that was the first season where like they were allowed to like talk to the camera crew or something like that. How was it for you guys?
It's funny, we were definitely not supposed to talk to the crew, and they definitely would like, but we did. And we would like try to be friends with them all the time and like try to get them to talk to us, and they were like, leave me alone, I'm not here, like whatever. But like as it got closer to the end and things were relaxing and winding down, like we had a night where we were like basically B-roll, like they were doing something else, they were filming something else, and so we basically just had like a skeleton crew and we all kind of hung out and goofed off together. And I'm actually like, I'm Facebook friends with a lot of those guys too, and girls.
Oh wow.
And it's funny because I was talking to Kendall recently and I was like, did you have so-and-so on your crew? Did you have so-and-so on your crew? And she was like, I don't know, we're not allowed to talk to the crew. I was like, oh, we didn't really abide by that.
One of those campus crawl people.
No, I think they just followed the rules.
Yeah. So I don't know if you knew this or not, but when you obviously took your hiatus from the show, there had been like so many eras obviously that had like taken place since you've been out of the fold, and they actually did this thing called, they've done it twice actually, or three times depending on who you ask, but the theme is Battle the Exes, right? Where they like pair people up who have had like flings and whatever, maybe they've dated. I don't know if you knew this, but technically, unofficially, you and Dan were actually the first ever set of exes to be paired up on a challenge together.
Really? I
Yeah,
definitely did not know
on
that.
Battle of the Seasons. Yeah,
That's cool. A lot of firsts. We were
yeah.
the first 6-person cast of Road Rules. Obviously, the first in one place and where we voted each other off in the challenge. The first 6-man bungee jump ever, they told us. And apparently we were the first exes to be cast, but we were not good volatile exes. We really enjoyed each other. Like, I'm pretty much friends with everyone I've ever gone out with, or like at least Facebook friends, and like I've stayed friendly with people. So yeah, I don't think I'd be like, that wasn't an issue really.
Oh, so it wasn't no awkwardness having to be paired up with him?
Mm-mm.
Mm.
No, not even a little.
I mean, that was some challenge though. Like that you had like the personalities on that season. Oh my lord! Like you look at the people that were on that. Just to name a few, you got what? Coral, The Miz. Wasn't Beth was there with John, weren't they?
Beth and John were there. That's where I met
Yeah.
them. Well, that's where I met Beth. I had met John before because he was on. I was also on the first version of a challenge when the Real Worlders came and competed against us.
Oh, you were the What was that? What was it called again? The
I don't know. It was like it was all. I think it might have been called Real World All Stars.
Well, it was All Stars. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and so they spent a week with us. Like our last week was their first week, and we competed in the mock Winter Olympics against them. And then they took our Winnebago and drove back across country.
Oh, so they beat you guys real well, did?
I don't think so. That doesn't seem right. I honestly don't remember, but I can't imagine they did.
Yeah, I mean those real world people. God
Right.
forbid, right?
Sean and Rachel met.
Yeah, and the rest is history in that regard.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we named a bunch of people on that Battle of the Seasons, but I think my favorite person on that season, aside from you, obviously, Baloo was probably my favorite. I mean, come on.
Baloo, she was crazy. Like, I mean, I've just never met anyone like her.
I had her on a few months ago, believe it or not.
Did you? How's she doing?
She's doing well. She's in Europe, I think. Yeah.
Amsterdam, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Facebook friends with her, so I see that like the baby that she had with her
growing up.
has grown up and like moved off to London, and I'm like, I like follow her journey. But she seems just as Baloo as ever, from what I'm seeing on social media.
Well, what side of the fence were you on in the Baloo versus Chadwick and Holly?
Oh, I was 100% on Baloo's side.
Oh, easily. Yeah, that whole situation. Oh my God, I think someone sent in a question about that too with you. Yeah, I don't know. I got holier than thou vibes from.
So I don't know if it aired. I don't remember, but there was a point when they said something like, I think Chadwick said something like, "You're a terrible mother. You should throw that baby off the cliff rather like do it a favor and not make it be raised by you," or something like that would be kinder to her or something like in that world. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, because that's what Jesus would do. Like, what are you saying? So there was no, I mean, it would be very hard to be on the Chadwick side of that argument.
Yeah.
She made some choices that I probably wouldn't make, and then later didn't make with my kids. But she was doing her best, and she was.
Yeah.
I mean, she brought her baby to the challenge. She didn't have a choice. It's not like that's the goal of a new mom, is to like have to bring your little baby on stuff like this, you know. She like needed the job.
My theory, though, I think, like, I don't know, maybe they just couldn't get, because I would go out on a limb to say that they would probably never do that again, even like during that time period, like after that, like they would ever, like encourage, someone bringing like a child. But I think like maybe for like the theme, they needed somebody to maybe, and they
Yeah,
probably were like, we really need, yeah.
that's probably what happened, because they were like, yeah, we'll provide a nanny, like bring your baby. it's so it's so funny. But yeah, there was this baby living with us.
I think she said in the edit, like, because you guys, you had the hurricane, I think it was, or the tornado, during that. I'm pretty sure with the episode in which that blow up happened, the edit tried to make it look like the glass fell in the same house that the baby was in, but they just spliced the clips together.
I don't remember.
So we can't have a double confirm on that.
I cannot confirm or deny, but only because I really have no idea.
Yeah, makes sense. That was a while ago.
Yeah. But I mean, she was a great baby.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
She
Maybe
was like really sweet. She wasn't like crying all the time or anything. She was just like chilling, doing her thing.
yeah. Did you get to go on the whole rub elbows with famous people, bar appearance, press type of tour after your road rules, or did you not get those perks?
So they asked, they did like some media training with us and had us go like speak to some college students. And then they had like a manager that, they said we could sign up with if we wanted to, or we could find our own or whatever, but they kind of helped us in that process. But I did not enjoy that. Like, I had terrible stage fright. I didn't think it was fun. Like the off stage part was fun, but like the going up and having to speak to like thousands of people, that was not for me. So I never did any of that. But like people from my era did.
So what, did you just turn them down?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I figured you would have wanted to crack a couple jokes on stage maybe, or shed some of your knowledge.
Now that I'm like a million years old and I'm not worried about that stuff as much, now I could go do it for sure. But at the time I really had like such bad stage fright that it was very uncomfortable for me.
So, like, was that rough for you then? Like, like having to kind of, live, having yourself on screen where for people to see. Like, was it something you were self-conscious about, or?
No, I wasn't. I could just like pretend it wasn't there and just like live my life.
Oh, okay.
So, and I've also like, I wasn't really, I was 19 and like I wasn't really thinking there was anything like to hide or whatever, there wasn't anything that I didn't want anyone to see.
Yeah.
I was like, let's live it all out loud. And, that was like a big thing in our cast, was like being really authentic for the cameras. Like all 6 of us were just into that. And so we tried to like put everything out there and like.
What was your favorite mission from your time on either show?
So I saw that on the Twitters.
Question.
And I've been thinking about it, and I think so. The first day of Road Rules, when we all like met and were standing on a bridge and like basically tied together, and then we bungee jumped. Like, that was great. That was so fun. I'd never done anything like that, and it was such an interesting way to meet people. And then like right after that, we like went into the race car challenge, which I won. So obviously that was a great challenge. And I think that whole like first week was in a lot of ways like the most exciting, best thing we did. But then I enjoyed a lot of the challenges, some less than others, some more than others. But I think like the best, most exciting time was right at the beginning.
What was it? There was this ER mission, I think.
Yeah. So it was it was crazy. Like they had us in surgeries with people. Like I don't know how they could do that or how they got away with that. But like I like got to like drill into a bone of like an accident victim, like with a little hand drill that was like like I always thought it was a power drill. Like if you have to like a rod put into your bone, but it's like a little squeaky like hand, like turn it. And like Dan, I think Dan was like in brain surgery, and someone else was in like a had like intestines out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
Jeez.
And I want to say Noah maybe got woozy from it or something, or had a rough time with it. But we also had to be up for like a 36-hour shift. And then I got food poisoning, so I missed a lot of it, which I don't think they showed on TV. But we'd just been on this like dairy farm, and I consumed raw milk. And I think I got a little food poisoning from it.
Wow. Yeah, Road Rules is definitely a lot blue collar type of atmosphere, you know.
Well, mine was not all of them. I mean,
well, no, not the later ones. They just broke all the equipment. That was their responsibility. That's why they canceled Road Rules.
Why?
Because the equipment got broken. The RV, I think.
Well, we always
Like
broke the RV. That was like just a part of it. Like 6 teenagers living in a little Winnebago. Like we all did a shit ton of damage to it.
I think like somebody crashed. One of the cast members crashed the RV.
Oh, we all crashed the RV. Just little baby taps, though.
Yeah, I mean, not too bad, right? Another person from that Battle of the Seasons, though, I mentioned him before, I think you might know, is The Miz. Are you surprised to see what he's been able to parlay his time into?
When I met The Miz, he was like 20 years old, and he was like, I want to be a at the time, WWF superstar. And I was like, you're a crazy person. And he was like, my name is The Miz. I have this alter ego. And I was like, oh, so you're like, do you dress up in ladies' clothes and like wear heels and you're like a cross dresser? And he was like, no, I'm The Miz. I'm, this character. And I was like, I did not understand because I didn't know his last name. But he was like very focused on it already. He was already like practicing his character, on the challenge. And then, I mean, it was like his life's goal, and he had accomplished it at like 24 or something. I mean, I don't know how old he was, but I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I definitely didn't think anything was going to come of it.
It's like incredible, honestly. Like, oh my God. I mean, just every time like he continues to do something big, it's just adding more recognition to the challenge because,
That's where he started.
It's like free press.
Yeah.
For the challenge, basically.
I mean, he worked really hard. Like he really was like, he moved out to LA and like was in the gym all the time and like doing everything he could to get on their radar. And I mean, I don't know. I definitely didn't think that he was going to be a WWE superstar. But good for him.
You may have a if they ever get the well, I mean, I doubt maybe he might take part in it, but if they ever got you two on an all-star season and they brought back one of those formats, you guys might qualify for the partnership.
For sure. We definitely had a showmance.
Yeah. You were I think you were his original showmance, if I'm correct, or did he have one on it?
Because I think it was his first challenge.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. So look, after I dated Dan, he went on to showmance with Holly Shand, who is awesome. And then apparently, like, I didn't know that after I like hung out with The Miz, he went on to hang out with Kendall, who's awesome. So like the guys I date, like they pick new friends for me. It's great.
What do you know, right?
Yeah. Who would have thunk it?
I mean, that's like a world that seems taboo nowadays, where people can just have showmances and then be friends, all of them.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, The Miz has met my husband. Like, we were friends.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I think my husband's met like most of the guys I dated because I stayed friends with everyone. And like at the time, like it's been 20 years now, but so like I'm not hanging out with like every guy I've ever dated, but like at the time I was still hanging around a lot of people because I was like, nothing was too serious. It was all like in fun. We enjoyed each other's company. That's why we got together in the first place. There was no reason to like not be friends after we weren't dating anymore.
Yeah, no doubt. So I noticed, obviously from seeing on Twitter, it seemed like you've kind of jumped back into the Paramount Plus pool when it comes to watching back seasons, and I saw you were watching the Fresh Meat season. Wes, in particular, drew the brunt of your Twitter fury that day.
Yes. I mean, if you go back into my Twitters, there are a bunch of I have some thoughts. I have some feelings about things. And I'm always very generous with my thoughts and feelings and sharing them with anyone who, has to listen. But they used to, not just Wes, but Wes definitely, but the whole challenge used to be like they would put down women. They would all like call them bitches. Like, I mean, I don't want to call out more names than I already have. So we'll just stick with Wes, but and Zach, like people like that, they would just like always treat the girls so poorly and like try to get him kicked off. And it's problematic. And now looking back from like a now perspective, it's hugely problematic and it's a lot better now.
Yeah, the way I characterize it is 3 different eras of the show. That era, pretty much from Fresh Meat up until probably within the last 5 years, was like the dark era, a lot of people call it, of the show, in which how like people were talked to, women in particular, and then when you were on the show was like what people refer to as the golden era, where people were just like getting to know each other, have fun, enjoy each other's company, just wholesome. And now is like a PG type of era where it's like nothing flies.
Yeah. The other thing, like if you go back into my Twitters, is when the whole thing with Camilla and Leroy happened. Like that used to be fine, and like that also was deeply problematic for me. So now that it's like it's more PC and they're kicking people off for. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know why Ashley got kicked off of this current challenge. But it seems like it is way less than anything, than a lot of the normal casual stuff that was happening back in the day.
So you keep up to date then, with really? Wow. Like everything, the whole scope you watch?
I do. I watch them while I'm on my elliptical machine.
Oh, it's not a bad combo. I'm
good,
sure it
right?
gets the blood flowing. You see something athletic taking place while you're on the elliptical, and it's like,
yeah, for sure. And then especially, I mean, I've always watched it while I worked out, but especially like now in this, All Stars challenge thing, I'm like studying, and I'm like getting motivated too. Like I want to do that. Like the obstacle course on top of a car thing. I was like on top of the semi. I was like, I want to do that. And in All Stars 2, the first episode where they do that boat thing,
mm-hmm.
Like I grew up on boats and I play basketball. Like I still play basketball. Every Sunday I started a women's league so I could play. So it's like boats and basketball. Like this is my jam. Like I want to do that. So yeah. So much.
So what were you doing if hypothetically you were competing in that? And are you going under the leg, slam dunk, or what? Or are we just going with the light little free throw?
Did you see the episode?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you had to slam dunk it. There's no way.
You had to slam dunk it?
Well, I
Sorry.
mean, it would be...
Lots happened in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. They climb from one boat to another, and then they have to do this catwalk to a yacht, and then they climb over the yacht, and then they have to like jump off and put the ball in the hoop. So like shooting a free throw would be crazy. There's so much greater chance. I mean, in general, like the farther away you are from the basket, the harder it is to put in, right? Especially on a moving boat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely go for the slam dunk, although I'm short. So it seems like the shorter people struggled a little to get there. But I've never been able to slam dunk. So yeah, definitely that.
It's definitely a different evolution. Like, I feel like if you were to tell a casual fan that doesn't know what the show is to flip on your season of Battle of the Seasons and then have them watch a separate TV of, Now's show, I feel like they would think it's a different show.
Yeah. Like one of our missions was musical chairs, but with like life rings in the pool. Like you jump in the pool and get one if you can. Like that is not what they do now. Right? I mean, we were like rolling around making sand donuts and like, I mean, that was right after the hurricane. So I think that was probably an impromptu challenge, but that was one of the challenges. Very good. Mm-hmm. But we also did like a bungee jump basketball thing, and we did skydiving. And we did like one thing that was like a big rig over the water where you had to hold on. But I feel like there are just way fewer of those kinds of things.
So do you like the not the All-Star show, but the other one that's on Wednesday nights? Do you like that show?
Yeah, I watch them both. I'm like, if you don't have room for me on All-Stars, put me on a regular, put me on the original challenge. I'll go compete with the children. Be fine.
Oh,
because
come on.
The original.
Listen, we're trying to make it fair for them. All right, we don't want to.
But I'm like, I could take them. Like, I could take Nani.
Well, hopefully in the future we do see you on one of those shows. I think I could speak for a lot of people. And thank you again for your time today. It was maybe fun for you to go down memory lane a bit and chat it up.
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I will plug your socials in the description. Let people go get you to that 200 mark, unless you've already hit it by the time we hop off this, maybe.
Cool. That'd be great. I'd love to get over 200. I'm a pretty big deal.
All right. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay. Thanks. You too.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye.